And I won't be able to attend the presentation, unfortunately, but I know you will have a lot of questions for him at the end, okay? So be active.
Be active. Hey guys, how are you? Good. I'm a little under the weather, so forgive me. Just someone yell if I need to speak up, or you can't understand me. So, my name's Oliver Feakins from Lancaster. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of my background here a little bit. Now I know this series, this platform here, is kind of entrepreneurial in nature, right? So it's like all about entrepreneurial people or people that have became entrepreneurs or have kind of certain skill sets. Kind of have a couple of them, and I kind of did it in an unorthodox way. So, and I think that's cool because I didn't follow the mold of everybody else through circumstance. And we'll kind of get to that in a little bit. But my point by saying that, my point in showing you this is that for those of you who have aspirations to be entrepreneurial, to manage or own a business one day in your lives, there's many different ways you can accomplish this, okay? How many of you guys are looking to one day own your own business? Raise your hand. Decent amount. How many of you guys like to run businesses, but not necessarily own them? Similar set of risks, similar set of things going on there. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I want to make this really laid back and informal, so any of you guys have questions, just shout it out, okay? My name is Oliver Feakins. I was born in England, in London, England. I moved over here about 15, 16 years ago. Lost the accent in about 30 seconds. I have a wife, she's in the picture, Nadina, with me. 2 dogs, a cat. I'm degreed from Albright. I have an MBA from LVC. In about 3 weeks, I'm in my last class. So I go to college. I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30. I had my first company when I was 23. Other than that, I had my first company before I even had my bachelor's degree. And I was an entrepreneur because nobody would hire me. Because I didn't have the degree, because I didn't want to work from the bottom. So I worked really hard and created my own company. I have ADHD, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like a hyperactivity disorder, like ADD. Usually you find these people, they're like bouncing around, they can't stop talking, they talk a mile a minute. It was tough. Like high school and school in general was really tough for me. You know, I graduated, I did okay, but it was not a fun time. But, you know, I just kind of put it in here. In high school, my career assessment, you know, did you guys ever do that? You take the test and tells you what you're going to be. They said I was going to be a sanitation worker. So it was really tough. But, you know, 10 years later, you know, multi-million-dollar companies. So it's, yeah, it was a little wrong. But I'm fueled by vision. I'm a big fan of, of kind of the Steve Jobs mentality. Get the great idea, and then find a great way to do it, right? So, you know, it's really important. Let me back up here one sec. So these are the logos over here on the left. Actually, is there any way to lower the lights a little bit? Can you guys see that okay?
We tried, but they were
okay.
Dark.
That's all right.
They were like in the dark. Do you guys know how to lower the lights in this?
It's all right. We'll wing it. So the last 10 years of my life have been working for internet companies in general, from New York City, also local and beyond. Right out of high school, I was lucky enough to kind of get started in the very first one up there, which was a lead generation site. Basically, it's like a Trulia today. And then I got into a really high-profile social media company, which basically competed with Facebook and MySpace back in the day. How many of you guys are familiar with a social platform called Ning? Ning.com? No? It's about 5-6 years ago. That was our biggest competitor. We had about $40 million worth of funding, and we went at it with everything we had to basically become this big social player. And obviously, you guys haven't heard of us, so we didn't make it. But it's part of the adventure. From there, I sprouted about 5 or 6 more online companies, international companies online. 3 of these, the bottom 3, I still work and manage and own today. On top of that, in 2008, I started WebTalent Marketing, which was an SEO firm. How many of you guys are familiar with SEO or know what it is? All right, do you guys cover that in marketing here? Like in your marketing classes, they cover SEO, usually under internet marketing, right? No? So SEO is kind of the key to having a business online. You got to know how to bring traffic to it, especially free traffic to it, or it's really tough to gain momentum. So we started consulting, and from then on, we kind of grew and grew and grew. Today we have 18 people. We have 2 offices, one in Buenos Aires, Argentina, one here in the US. We have awards from Google, Microsoft, different magazines like Promotion World. We've been mentioned in SEO Moz, Visibility Magazine, the whole works. Again, we're a small company from Lancaster. And at the bottom, I just put, we're looking for interns. So if any of you guys are looking to get into the digital space, look us up. We've been ranked number 17 in the United States, and then number 4 in the United States by 2 different magazines. So again, 4 years ago, if you do really, really good work and you have great vision and you can execute it, great things follow. I always say really great work leads to more really great work. So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of, or the future of like search marketing. So for those of you that don't know, search marketing is a form of internet marketing. It's pretty much the influencing the search engines to have your website show up where you need it to for the specific keywords you want to. There's a couple different ways you can do that. There's called organic and paid search. And some of this may be review, but organic search is this kind of pink one. And then paid search is the pay-per-click ads, the green ads. When you guys go to Google, you're familiar that they're 2 different. The one is paid for and the one is served by Google, right? A lot of people don't know still, but it's true. So this middle section, Google decides who goes there. The green section, you can just pay, and it's an auction. You pay per click. You pay Google every time somebody clicks on it. And people bid to be in that position. So as more people want to show up there, the price goes higher, and you bid. Our company manages platforms on both of those. But primarily, we're going to talk a little bit about SEO. And SEO is that free part, right? Because if I'm still paying and paying and paying and paying for people to click on my advertisement, the moment I shut that off or stop paying, what happens to my ads? They go away. So it's a really short-term way to advertise. SEO, if I can somehow get Google to believe that my ad deserves to be there in that organic section, which is more trusted because it's not paid for, if I can get Google to show me there all day long for the rest of my life, I don't have to put a single cent into it. It's free. That's how companies grow. They take advantage of that free traffic. No company has ever sustained long-term by paying for clicks. Doesn't mean you don't do it, but it's a long-term and short-term marketing strategy. So what I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about how Google's changing its algorithm specifically for that section. All right, kind of an advanced topic, so I'm going to warn you ahead of time. Definitely wanted to bring the goods. So when we look at this, some of you are going to see this and say, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe Google's doing this. I had no idea. And some of you guys are going to be like, well, yeah, I kind of knew some of that, or I've seen some of it before. But a lot of this is going to be interesting. So there's about 4 or 5 ways that I'm going to say Google's going to change in 2013. And mainly, I'm going to show you how they've changed in the last couple of years to show you where they're going. Because sometimes it's easier to look back and say, well, Google did this, this, and this. What are they going to do after that? You can see the direction they're going. And it's really, really more apparent this last year than ever before. It's been really difficult to get people ranking for the terms they want to be in. I guess in the last year, harder than it ever was before. So it's super important. So for example, at Elizabethtown College, if they want to rank for business, business administration degrees, in Elizabethtown or in Lancaster, or Lancaster County colleges, they have their keywords that they want their website to show up for. It was easier to get them, or people like them, to show up for those terms prior to last year. So here's why. First off, Google is kind of the open source big data guys, right? They came up with this thing called secure search a couple years ago. And what this means is, I don't know, how many of you guys have a website or a blog, personal blog, work on your boss's blog or website? How many? Raise your hand. How many of you guys are familiar with the web? All right. How many of you guys have used analytics modules like Google Analytics? A couple of you guys know what that is. OK. It's a platform that lets you see all the traffic coming from everywhere, search engines, direct views. But it also shows you what keywords people were searching to come to your website. This is really handy because I can see what keywords specifically lead to people coming to my site, or even better yet, buying from my site. So if an e-commerce site, I know I can aggregate all the searches that came in by which ones purchased or did not. So then I can kind of form my internet marketing strategy based on really solid data. Does that make sense? So we would take the searches that Google provided us through analytics and know how many people came to my site from different keywords. So we could maybe go to pay-per-click and buy them cheaper, or we could do it on top of organic as well. The problem is that they took them out. Google basically it started to hide the data of what you search for. So if you come to webtalentmarketing.com, right, and you search for internet marketing companies, now, you just put internet marketing companies into Google. You come to my site, you make a phone call, or you fill out an application for a career or whatnot. I can see what keyword you used to get that, and now I know that where I need to put my plan, my optimization plan. But now you can see here, this is a view of analytics. You see where it says not provided? That's basically the amount of keywords that Google is not showing. So for this specific analytics profile, it's huge. I mean, it could be as much as 60, 70% of your data is being hidden now by Google, which only they have. Now, pay-per-click. If I'm paying for it, they'll give me that data. But if it's free, they won't. So the real kind of lesson here is to make sure that you're looking at data correctly, knowing that Google's taking some of it away. It's really difficult to grab big data in SEO now and make a really good decision because a lot of your data is missing. You have to use it proportionally. Another way that Google's changing in 2013, or search is changing in 2013, this is huge. It's called personalized search. Have you guys had any experience with this? Any of you guys know what I'm talking about yet? Personalized search? You will. No? So how many of you guys went to Google, Googled something, and it just seems like the results are tailored to where you've been before? Like, you're like, oh, wow, I go to that place a lot. It's number 1, it's number 2. Have any of you guys registered with that? No? So, okay, so that's personalized search. What Google does is it takes your browsing history, and I think this is pretty poor from like a privacy perspective. It doesn't ask permission. It takes everywhere you go on the web, even if you're logged into Google or not, or logged into Gmail specifically, or YouTube, or any Google product. It'll take your entire browsing history, and it will change the results based on what it thinks you like. Okay? Now that may seem, depending on your views on privacy, that may seem pretty cool, or maybe it's not. But if you want Google knowing everywhere you've been, then it's okay. If that offends you, obviously that's not going to work either. But the idea being here is that Google is going to be able to give you a customized results page. So the downside to that is, the downside to the personalized search page is that it makes it hard for us as marketers to SEO keywords that are the same for everybody here. If everyone is different, how can I get the same SEO keyword to everybody's page? Super, super tough. So this is just a good example here. What I've done here, I took the keyword internet marketing companies, and I took all my competition. And basically what I did is I ran it through some different computers. And you see how some of the results are the same, but some of them are different. I also changed up the location. I told the computer that I was searching from Lancaster or from California or from wherever. And you can see that Google's showing different results, different positions for these different websites. Right? So again, when you look at where do I rank, it's completely different. This is a visual here. You can see how these are the same search, but you see there's different results as we change things throughout. This didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago. You got the same thing no matter where you were, no matter what your browsing history is. Google is modeling results to behaviors, to location, to browsing history. And you guys, when you graduate, and how many of you guys are going into marketing or want to go into marketing? This will be your life. You're not going to get out of here and go to places and talk about billboards or radio or even TV. I mean, it'll be in there as part of a marketing mix, but they're going to be asking you about the web. They're going to be asking you, how do we get on this Google thing? And this is important to know. It's huge. So you can't really use where you rank anymore globally either. Right? So if a company, the most common question I get as the owner of WebTalent is, where do I rank for these keywords? Where do we rank on, are we on the first page, the second page, where are we? And I can't give them an answer because I'm only giving them one dimension. I can show them where my computer shows that they rank for, but if you go home and search for them, I can't guarantee it's going to be on the same page. Or if you're in California, I can't guarantee them that they're going to be on the same page. So it's really useless to give them that data. So how do you really tell where you really rank? How do you gauge improvement? And Google provides us with a tool called Webmaster Tools. How many of you guys have ever used Google Webmaster Tools? It's a free tool base. There you go, got one or two. What it does is Google will actually show you anytime that your website shows up for anything that it could possibly show up for. So it gives a massive string of keywords that you've shown up for, and then which ones you actually got clicked upon from the Google search results. And if you see here, this is a little laser, yeah. The average position, based on everybody in the entire world. For example, this keyword, this is for WebTalent, right? So internet marketing companies was the keyword. We had 1,000 impressions, 35 clicks. This is our click-through rate, how many times it was clicked. This is just a proportion. And we're an average rank of 5.7. We're number one. When I search for us, we're number 1 and 2. But not the case when you look at everybody. So it's really important to kind of understand that. Another big trend, mobile. Speaking of which, how many of you guys have iPhones or Androids? Can you guys do me a favor? Sometime during this presentation, would a couple of you take some pictures of me for our blog so we can just you can just share it with us on Twitter? So you have full permission to take out a phone and snap a couple pictures real quick. Okay, so mobile search, super huge. How many of you guys search on your cell phone all the time? Right, all the time. It's became way easier, and this is an area where, I mean, some companies are having a lot of trouble with it. Facebook, for example, right? Facebook's having really, really huge problems monetizing over the mobile phone. They can't get ads to get clicked on. They can't get conversions to happen via mobile. But everybody's using mobile, right? So this is even from a couple years ago, 6 times growth. The mobile phenomenon is huge. Here's the thing. People are searching on their mobile phones. Okay, specifically with Siri. How many of you guys have iPhone 4s or above, like Siri? Raise your hands, real high. Okay, so a lot of you guys, do you guys use Siri? Do you like it? Besides the party tricks it comes with? Do you guys find it helpful, or do you just kind of not really use it anymore? Siri, and then there's another one by the Nokia Lumia, and then Google's coming out with its version of Siri called Majel, which is in development now. These guys don't use like Google searches to give you the information you seek for. Like when you ask Siri, where's a restaurant located near me, it doesn't pull from Google. It pulls from Yelp, all right, which is completely different. So when you look at, there's 500,000 smartphones sold worldwide in 2011. They're going to ask Siri where to go for lunch. And if you own a restaurant, you don't need to optimize for Google as much for Siri as you do in places like Yelp or Bing Local or kind of local search engines. So it's really important to know that these things pull from a different directory. They're not the same as regular Google. But mobile is huge, as you guys can imagine. Social search. This is the one that scares me the most. So social and SEO are becoming the same thing. We even used to sell them differently. Now we're packaging them together because you can't affect one without affecting the other. If Google used to look at things like backlinks and how many links one website got to increase its position in the search engines. Now it's looking at that and how many times you were mentioned on Twitter, how many times you were shared on Facebook. So it's really important to get those both in there as well. Specifically, Facebook is using what's called the Open Graph. It's a piece of code that it has which allows basically Facebook to track all the interaction of we'll call it the internet world with your Facebook page or with products on your site, and to tie it all back together into kind of a big Facebook brain. Which, again, all these social networks feed out to the search engines. Facebook and Bing have a relationship. Twitter feeds out to Google and Bing. So these guys, the big search engines, are absolutely looking at what happens in social media. So if you want to rank in the search engines, also the social media part is really huge. All right, Google+. So, okay, raise your hand. How many people use Google+? Be honest. Raise your hands. Okay, how many people don't use Google+? All right, right. So, right, and here's why you should, or here's why you're going to. Eventually, this is Google's ditch effort to beat Twitter and Facebook. And they're not going to go down without a fight on this one. They are going to eventually make all of you use Google+. Reason being, Google owns everything that you guys use, from Gmail to YouTube to Google Apps to Google Maps to Google Local. You know, everything, Google Search. Google is going to tie Google+. They've already started doing it with the local business results. They are going to tie everything into Google+. So, as a business, or if you're recommending something for your business or your case study or whatever you guys are working on or working with, Google Plus is going to be a big part of it. So get used to it, kind of get used to how it works. Set up a profile, spend some time in it. It is a great piece of software. It just hasn't been very widely adopted yet, but it will be part of everything you do. A good example of that is, here's a Google result. Look how many times Google Plus is plugged in this search result. I mean, you can see here, anyone that's in my personal connection in Google+, if they've liked the page that I'm looking at, Google is moving search results around to prioritize those who are viewed by people that I know on Google+, whether I want to see them or not. It says here, Aaron Wall liked this. Aaron Wall's a big blogger in the SEO space. So because he likes this, Google moved, and he's connected with me on Google+, Google decides to move this up higher. Instead, and again, we're talking again about the way Google displays different information to different people. So super important. You can see here on the right-hand side, even ads, even blog posts. It's all related to Google+. They are pushing this out with a vengeance. So just be aware. You know it's there. Again here, as we're talking about social impacting SEO, when we look at how we're going to get somebody to rank for specific terms, we do a lot of big data, right? So you can see here, one thing we've done is remember this from before? We kind of looked about where people were being placed depending on what lookup, because we can have our servers look like different people. Somebody from California, from Pennsylvania, who have different browsing history, so we can try to get an average. But we also, over here, start to look at how many Facebook likes they have, how many Twitter followers they have, how many Google Plus ones they have. And you can see here that the top 4 have a lot of social activity. So, they say, was it causation, not correlation or whatnot? We can see here that there's a trend. The top 5 people here not only are ranking well across the board, but also have a lot of social activity as well. And we can see specifically which ones are making them rank where they are. Google's algorithm is just a big math problem. So we can put in variables and we can start to paint a pretty good picture. So that's kind of how Google's changing their product. Let's talk about the couple of big changes they've made to their algorithm, which kind of crushed the industry this year, and last year, I should say. First one came out in 2011. It was called Panda. Google really does a really good job of naming their algorithm updates, cute and like fuzzy kind of things, but they're really horrible updates. They do a lot of damage. They're meant to be, first of all these updates and all these changes are meant to provide the user, you guys, the best possible experience on the web. They're meant to be the best, but I guess they give a certain amount of challenges to marketers like us and soon to be yourselves, to how are we going to get in front of the right people when Google keeps changing the game. So Panda came out in February. It affects 12% of searches. And let me tell you, 12% of Google searches, that's a ton. I mean, that's a ton of searches. They've put it out 20 times again they made changes and keep refreshing it, it's called. Basically, this targets poor, thin content, websites with really heavy ads. You ever read like online and you're on the web page and it just, you can tell they're trying to get a certain keyword rank because the keyword is every 5 seconds. Like the page is written so poorly and spammy, there's really no value there. Well, that was the big problem. You would do that to try and get Google to rank you for a certain keyword because it works, and it worked until a couple years ago. But with this algorithm update, Google found a way to kind of measure that and make those websites come up 3-4 pages below everybody else's. This put businesses out of business. There was articles in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes of the mom and pop retailers, .coms, online retailers that just lost all their online traffic overnight and went out of business a week later. So this was huge. So it's really important when you're putting together an online strategy to focus on content. Good content is king. It always will be. Okay? The second one that we have here is called, this is Penguin. And Penguin affected 3% of search results, but it was much more brutal than the other one, specifically for people who were doing SEO. Basically, this one targeted spammy SEO tactics. So if you hired a company like mine, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or a company that uses out-of-date practices, or they went very, very aggressive with SEO to try and get them ranked, basically this update, same as the other one, kicked you 3-4 pages down. You're talking 70% loss in traffic. Basically this focused on backlinks. So I'm going to take a second here. Like one of the ways you increase your rankings in Google is to get people to link to you. So if you give me a backlink, and then you give me a link, and then you give me a link, Google starts to measure this like votes of popularity, and your website starts to move up the search engines. Well, what people used to do is go buy them. They used to buy them by the thousands overnight. And this algorithm update was generated to kind of stop that type of practice and to punish those people that didn't deserve to be gaining the rankings. It is very difficult to get out of this penalty because basically only some of the links are bad. And if you've gotten 700,000 links or 2 million links over 10 years, how in the heck are you going to find out which ones are good and which ones are bad? And how are you going to get and now I got to go back to you in 10 years and say, can you take that link down for me? Can you take that link down? It's impossible. So this was a major, major upset to Google. To this day, WebTalent Marketing still gets phone calls from people asking them for help getting them back up the search engine results after they've been hit with something like this. It's very difficult. So in 2012, Google produced a tool that if you can find out what links you think are spammy, you can basically send them a list and they will ignore them and hopefully take you out of the penalty. But it takes months and it's a trial by error practice. So huge, huge things for the future. So basically the takeaways for kind of how this works and the 4 changes that we mentioned here. Understand how users search for your site. Okay, not just the keywords that they're using, but the behavioral aspects, right? Understand that you're going to get different search results than you guys are. Depending on what you've browsed previously, there is no unilateral ranking, okay? Social media, it's here to stay. Back 8 years ago when I was in the social media startup and we were going to venture capital people and asking for money, they would tell us that social media was a fad. It wasn't going to be here long term. Well, they were wrong. It is going to be here long term. It's going to be here for quite a while. So start the following now. Google Plus, you got to get on it. It's not going to go away. It's going to be rolled into your Gmail, your YouTube visits, everything. So might as well get on it, learn how to use it, and when you graduate and start working for companies, kind of get that expert knowledge into how to get it going and being useful. High-level content. Has anyone ever heard the phrase "content is king" in marketing? It's an internet marketing expression, and I think it came from something out of internet marketing, but we use it all the time. All the fancy tricks and things that we do to get us ranking in Google, it's funny. Writing a really great piece of web copy is still better than anything we do, because nothing we do is going to work if the website doesn't convert somebody, or doesn't speak to them, or makes them just leave. So write really, really well for the web. We call it sticky. You know, make sure it sticks. Make sure people want to share it. Make sure it's concise. Don't take shortcuts. It's the biggest kind of example I'm going to give you guys when it comes to website marketing. Don't take shortcuts. Spend the time, write the copy, do the research, build out the site, look at competitors. Don't just throw it up there, because there's a lot of competition out there. There are hundreds of millions of searches for any given keyword. If you want to rank in the top 10 of those, which is the first page, you got to be above the rest. Okay? If you're going to get help in SEO, get the right help. Anyway, this is not a shameless plug, but if you're going to get help, make sure they know what they're doing. We have so many people come to us from other SEO firms, even big advertising agencies that gave this a try, did it wrong, and got hit with one of those algorithm updates, Panda Penguin. It's really important to kind of really know this stuff, because nowadays you can't experiment anymore. You can't try it and hope it works, because there are real life consequences in Google that'll last for several years. So, and the only thing you can do is get a whole new domain. All right, super important. A good example of this is JCPenney. Do any of you guys know the JCPenney story with regards to SEO? It was in the newspaper. They hired a firm, and they went in, and this is 2-3 years ago, built all these backlinks that we're talking about. They paid for them. Google, across hundreds of thousands of keywords, moved them to page 7, right over Christmas, right before Christmas. Their sales dropped. They had to go to pay-per-click. They had to spend, hundreds of millions of dollars in pay-per-click, and they couldn't get their rankings back up. They spent a year going and undoing all these links and creating great content. I mean, the consequences are monumental. So do it right the first time. Target local directories. There's a big push for think local in Lancaster. It's the same with the web. It's becoming the same way. It's a think local mentality. National is great, but there's a different algorithm to Google for local than there is national searches. So it's important to do things like Google Local. The Yelp directory is still a huge one. Any kind of local directories you can get into, a lot of the online Axiom databases, they're huge. And target mobile users. When you guys go on your iPhones, it doesn't matter as much, but have you guys ever seen mobile sites? Like they're a site that is designed to fit into more of a mobile frame? Have you guys seen those? If you go to WebTalentMarketing.com on your iPhone, you'll get ours. It's just an easier way to kind of show a website in a mobile frame. Super, super important. It's a huge growing part of the analytics. We're seeing, maybe it was 5-6% a couple years ago. It's 15 to 20% of our traffic now. It's a fifth of our traffic. So, as a company, we best be getting, we best be understanding that market and making sure that everyone is able to see our website clearly and to convert. So, engage mobile users and make sure that everyone's being taken care of. So that's kind of the manifesto of the way search is changing this year. It's a lot of detailed information, and the stuff we do is highly technical, so I apologize if it was a little too fast. Let me get some questions. What do you guys have questions about internet marketing or entrepreneurialism? I mean, I'd be happy to answer them. Like I said, I kind of came from a non-traditional background, so yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Go ahead.
What made you want to go into SEO?
Naming one SEO. Well, it was an accident, really. I started out in sales for the .coms. That's what I started doing, is selling advertising on .coms. And I just started working more closely with the marketing departments, and I thought it was really interesting that you could do a couple things, and all of a sudden Google floods you with traffic, and then you have this massive .com. And back then, and 10 years ago, it was very easy to do SEO, and people were making a ton of money just by launching websites, selling things online, but doing SEO to bring in traffic. And they would literally, I mean, I would have friends that would make $500,000 working 1 hour a week. And basically, it was just taking money to the bank because they knew SEO, because they could bring in all the traffic that they needed to sell as many widgets as they were selling online. And it was easy. Obviously not the case now, but it was by accident. Any other questions? Go ahead.
What were the two aspects of search engine optimization? You said one was organic.
Sure. Well, yeah, one's organic, which is what Google serves. And then pay-per-click is the ad auction system that Google has, and you pay every time somebody clicks. Don't get me wrong, pay-per-click's great too, but it's a very short-term scenario. It is sustainable. If you're doing it right, it should pay for itself. For example, if it's $1 a click, to sell bottled water, right? So that case of bottled water is $15. That big package. If I get one click, or say, I get one click from Google under the word bottled water, and somebody buys $15 of bottled water, that's profitable. I don't care if it's short term. I'll run that all day long forever. But on the same hand, if I can show for bottled water organically and do the same thing for free, I would add that, and it becomes more profitable as a whole. But yeah, pay-per-click and organic. And SEO specifically pertains to organic, because pay-per-click is not organic. Any other questions? Go ahead.
When it comes to the personalized searches that Google's doing, what exactly do they take from? Do they access your browsing history, like straight from the browser on the computer?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, they're really tricky with it. You can even erase your cookies. And it used to be when you were signed into a Google product, like Gmail. I mean, you guys, there's like 40, 50 Google products. Some of them you guys probably don't even know that you use. I mean, the most obvious ones are Gmail. How many of you guys have a Gmail account? So when you sign into your Gmail and you navigate away from that, it still logs you in. Did you guys know that? So even if you navigate away from the page, you're still logged in, which means Google is tracking everywhere you go. So next time you search for something, it's going to go back and access its copy of where you've went and try to show sites that are better from that. Even if you log out of Gmail now, it still tracks you via IP. Basically your computer's connection. It still tracks you. The only way you can get Google not to track you now is to log in to your Gmail account, to your Google settings, and actually put in there and you actually have to check a button for it not to track you. But you have to go log in every time you use it, and click that button to be not tracked. That data that we were grabbing, that unpersonalized data, that's how we got it. We went in and we clicked that, and then we took the ranking reports. So Google's trying to show you something personal, but how many of you guys knew that Google was like archiving everywhere you've ever been to show you better search results? You guys know that? So it's huge. But yeah, it's the way of the future. Facebook does the same thing.
Do you have any suggestions for students on how maybe they could get some practical experience with SEO, like maybe a personal blog?
Sure. Check out our website, webtalentmarketing.com. We have a blog on there. We update it all the time. We do a lot of speaking events around town. You're welcome to. We always try to keep those posted. Oh, I got a good one for you. We founded the SEO meetup group. It's a free group. Are you guys familiar with meetup.com? Meetup groups? Basically, it's a website where you can just kind of schedule events. We do once every couple of months we do it at the Lancaster Chamber in downtown Lancaster. It's free to anybody who wants to go. There's business owners that go, there's marketing people that go, there's students that go. But we do a free seminar on SEO-related things every 2 months. It's about an hour, it's over lunch. If you guys can get away, usually there's pizza and stuff there. Next week, they're doing one on local search. So how to get your website showing up in the Google Maps, if you will, to be ahead of everybody else. So if you Google SEO Meetup in Google, it'll show up right away. SearchEngineLand.com is a great blog as well. SEO Moz is a great blog as well. There's all kinds of material. I would do a blog instead of a book. By the time a book is published, they're already outdated. So if you're looking for actual training, there's training called Market Motive, which is a subscription. It's only a couple $100s, but you can actually get a certification in SEO and online marketing. A lot of agencies like mine are looking at those as kind of advanced training. So we take them pretty seriously. Somebody comes with them because they're updated and they're taught by some of the best guys in the industry. So But yeah, I mean, we're always training. It takes about a year. When we hire college graduates, it takes about a year of SEO training to get them to be SEOs. So it's a long training process.
What's your preferred internet browser that?
I like Firefox. I know a lot of people like Chrome in my office. Do you like Chrome?
I do.
Do you?
I don't like the header of it, but I like the way it doesn't seem to have as much guards on things. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like Firefox makes things difficult at times.
It is, but my Firefox browser is pretty pimped up. So it's got all kinds of levers and like basically when we look at a website, when we're evaluating a website for SEO, we have a lot of tools that plug into our browser. It just kind of shows like indicator lights of like how great Google thinks they are, problems with the website. So it makes it easier for us to evaluate when we're doing things. It also ties into our back-end software. So if I find a link, I can hit a button and it sends it to our team. So we built in some functionality, but it's great. I mean, any of you guys still use Internet Explorer? I know that any of you are on a Windows machine, you kind of have to, right, until you change it.
College uses Internet Explorer.
Does it? It's getting better, but Firefox, I love it. I mean, any of you guys use Firefox or Chrome? Oh, if you have never tried this, it's free. Especially Firefox. It's the coolest web browser ever. It's so easy and fast, and secure. So.
Does Bing stand for because it's not Google? Is that true? I've heard.
What was that?
Does Bing, B-I-N-G,
Yeah.
stand for because it's not Google?
Well, Bing and Yahoo are actually the same thing now.
Why is Bing not?
They're trying. I mean, they've made some strategic acquisitions, and they've been trying to get into searching because they know it's where the future is. But they still make up about, I'd say, Bing and Yahoo together make up about 20% of the market share in search. And actually, Bing is serving their search technology through the Yahoo portals now. So even if you go to Yahoo, you're still getting Bing. When we do ranking reports for our clients, it's funny because you'll see Google's ranking results for a keyword, and it says Yahoo, Bing, and it's the same all the way down the list because they're the same search engine now. Bing just hasn't really done really well. Have you guys seen those commercials where you do the Bing and decide, where you like, have you seen this? It's a commercial out right now where it's like they're doing a test, and you put in they ask you to do a search, and it shows you like 2 different layouts, and it asks you which ones you like better, and if you pick, you pick them, and at the end it says you'd be better off in Bing or better off in Google based on which ones you like better. It's true. I mean, I did it, and it said I'd like Bing better, but I still go to Google because I know the results are going to be better. So, Bing just can't keep up. They're so late in the game. Yeah. Any other questions?
You were talking about how Google is so dominant. Why don't you think Google Plus has really caught on yet?
I don't know. Personally, I think it's because I think people have hard enough time managing their Facebook feeds, let alone Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Google Plus. I mean, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of social networks out there. Some of them are not very well known. I just don't think, I think it's a really great social network. I don't think it has the community yet, and I think it's been adopted by mainly tech-oriented people like ourselves. But I've actually started to see it being used in workflow, like organizations using it to share information. Because are you guys they have different circles, if you will. So like Twitter, when you tweet something out, it goes to everybody. With Google Plus, think of it as that, but you could segment your audience. So work, home, friends, whatever. People I don't like. And whatever you're tweeting out, you can pick which circle you want it to go to. So for work, if you wanted to share a document besides kind of an email, you can use a Google Hangout or a Google Circle, and you could share documents across everybody on that right from your Gmail account. So it does have some nice applications, but it hasn't caught on. It's pretty tough to kind of get used to. But yeah. Any other questions? Well, I'll be around here, I guess, for a little bit, for an hour or so, grabbing lunch with you guys. So any questions or anything, let me know. But thanks for inviting me, and thanks for having me.